Dan the Wheelman here, and with me today is the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier. Cool looking truck. It does a cool job of taking some of the styling cues from the old hardbody pickups of the late 80s, early 90s with the squared off headlights here and the big grille. Plus it's got these great new paint job. This paint is all new. This color here is all new. There's 6 or 5 other colors that are new for the Frontier available for 2022. V6 power, 9-speed automatic transmission. This is the Pro-4X, the off-road model. So I've got the tow hooks here, and then I've got the underbody kind of bash guards there, big tires, built-in suspension. So lots of stuff that on paper looks really interesting. But we're going to take it off paper and off-road today. Well, we already have done a bit of that, as you can see by the mud on the grill here, to see what this all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier is all about. Stepping into the new Frontier, we have a new 9-inch screen here. That's optional. Standard is 8 inches. There's a 7-inch digital display between the gauges here. The gauges themselves are kind of plain looking. You don't get the digital gauge cluster in here like you have in the Pathfinder or the new Rogue. But steering wheel's big, hydraulic power steering. We'll talk more about that later on. It tilts, but it doesn't telescope, which I'm a little nervous about. As we start to drive, I have a feeling that it could be a bit of a problem to find the perfect seat position. We'll see. But this is the top trim, the Pro-4X. So I've got special premium Fender audio, 12 speakers, I believe. I've got digital climate control, heated steering wheel, heated seats to 2 levels, automatic transmission with the shift lever move closer to the driver than it was previous. And I've got wireless charging in here as well. So pretty well equipped interior, not to mention the leather seats I've got. Pretty well equipped interior. I like how the window controls are right up here on the door, kind of like on a ledge. I'm a fan of that. Easy to reach, easy to see. And some storage up here, in here, lots of storage. As well, of course, there's more storage in the back, which we'll have a look at in just a minute. But this is a big, broad dash. Everything's easy to reach and see, and that's what I like in my pickup. Oh, and the handholds too. I like those as well, especially when we're off-roading, which is the Pro-4X. That's kind of what it's all about. So this is a small to medium-sized pickup, so the back seat is not the roomiest place to be, as you can see with my head kind of jammed right against the headliner here. Of course, this seat is fit for a tall driver myself, so shorter drivers will be able to move it up forward, give some more room to the people in the back. I've got cup holders here, cup holders in the doors, cup holders everywhere. There's some like 8 cup holders in here or something, because you know you can only fit 5 people, you need to have 8 cup holders, I guess. That's some kind of a rule that Nissan's developed. So bunch of cup holders, of course, leather seating back here, and of course these seats. I've also got USB ports back here. I've got a USB-C and A port here. I've got the same thing up front as well. And of course these seats can deploy backwards like that to fold, so you've got some room underneath here. This is the premium audio system, so I've got a subwoofer here. That wasn't there. I think I'd have storage there, but I still have storage underneath these seats here for more secure items, so that's pretty good. Not the roomiest back seat in the business though, that's for sure. So of course, what would a review of a pickup be without a look at the pickup bed? The Frontier is available with 2 bed lengths, a 5-foot bed and a 6-foot bed. This is a 5-foot bed because it's a crew cab Pro-4X. You cannot get the 6-foot bed with the 4-door Pro-4X, although the 6-foot bed is available with other 4-door models. The King Cab, the 2-door model, you can get a 6-foot bed on that one as well. So we'll have a look at this. It's got a new dampered tailgate, opens nice and smoothly. You have outlets in here. You can get the bed. There's bed lights. You can get cleats in here. There's a spray-in bed liner, which Nissan says they invented. I guess I'll have to take their word for it for now, and all that kind of good stuff as well. And there's also a kind of a quasi bed access system available that actually gives you a kind of little handle you can pull up and help pull yourself in. So functional bed, lots of customization available as well. And like I said before, 2 bed lengths to choose from, which is always nice. So yes, we are in the beautiful Montebello region of Quebec, heading towards Montreal right now. And this is the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier. It's got a 3.8-liter engine, good for 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque. That horsepower figure is class leading, by the way. It's got a new 9-speed automatic transmission that we've never seen before used in any Nissan vehicles, and more than that, they've done a lot to make it better on the road. Nissan's theory, as is many manufacturers that are building these small / mid-size pickups these days, is these pickups are being used these days by more than just workers. They're really being used by people that are weekenders, city dwellers, like to go away for holidays, maybe do some camping on the weekends, stuff like that. They're kind of becoming more and more lifestyle-like, and you've heard me talk about this before with various vehicles like the Hyundai Santa Cruz and the Jeep Gladiator. So that's kind of where we're at, and especially if this is the Pro-4X version. This is kind of the top end when it comes to this vehicle, and more than just making a high-end vehicle look cool with fancy leather seats or lighting or a 9-inch infotainment display like I have here, you have to make it drive in a more luxurious manner as well. And to do that, Nissan has spent a lot of time working on the kind of sound deadening in here. They've got all sorts of great sound deadening in the wheel wells, in front of the just ahead of the dash here, and all that kind of stuff to make it quieter on the normal road. Forget the off-road. This is just on the highway as we're on now. And this is it is a surprisingly quiet vehicle for what you have. Big, huge off-road tires and stuff, those are usually really loud. You don't hear that so much through here. You get some wind noise over the wing mirrors here, but otherwise it's pretty, the NVH is pretty good in here. And Nissan has made good on their promise to make it a little more of a livable vehicle. What else they've done is they have hydraulic mounts, body mounts, so you don't feel the bumps quite so harshly as you go over them. You'll feel the bumps still. I mean, we're still a body-on-frame pickup here, so you're still going to feel those bumps, but instead of just being these very harsh, kind of jerky things, they're much more metered out through the hydraulic mounts in the on the body here, which is actually really, really smart, and it's tech that really works well. So they've really spent time making this a quieter, more livable vehicle. Not that it's not practical. I mean, you can haul 1,430 pounds back there. You could tow 6,000 pounds, more than 6,000 pounds actually. That number of course changes depending on what spec you have. The Pro-4X, because it's got all that kind of heavy duty off-road gear on it, it doesn't have quite the tow rating that like the more standard truck does. But anyway, see, it's still plenty capable. And of course you've got that great engine and transmission, that new engine transmission, and it's a nice responsive engine. Sounds got a little bit of gruff kind of exhaust note to it. I don't mind that, that's okay. And of course, at 9 gears, you've got lots of room to work in there. You've got lots of ratios to do to make the best use of the power that you're given. Now, oftentimes, multi or ratio transmissions like this can get in the way of comfortable or brisk forward progress. But when you've got a naturally aspirated engine like this, it all kind of works well together to really kind of get you going in good time. It's not a sports truck by any means, but it's got nice smooth acceleration and a very smooth transmission as well. The shifts are not imperceptible, but you don't get a lot of jerk through the body when they happen, and they happen nice and quickly as well. I don't have paddle shifters, obviously, but if I want, I can shift the gears by myself with the shift lever down here as well. I don't expect paddle shifters in a vehicle like this, but to be able to use to shape the gears on your own is nice, especially if you're doing some off-roading and stuff. And you have an electronic locking differential here as well. You know, 2L, 4H, 4 low. So you've got all those different off-road modes. We'll do a bit of off-roading later on to kind of see how that kind of works in practice. But for now, we're on the highway, and this truck is definitely livable, more than livable in these kinds of conditions. It's not all roses, of course, in here. These are the zero gravity seats, which are developed in partnership to a degree with NASA, and that's great. But there's no lumbar adjustment on them, and I do find the lumbar to be a little bit aggressive here. But then again, I'm one to really reduce lumbar support in car seats normally, so I could be a little bit, I don't know, kind of picky that way. The footwell here is a little narrower than I'd like. My knees are pressed fairly firmly up against the transmission tunnel on the right side, and the door pull here on the left side. And this hydraulic power steering, great to have, but it really does require a commitment from the driver. Both when you're going slowly, you gotta put some elbow grease into it, and as speeds get up a little bit, it's not quite as quick to react as you might get from an e-pass system. So you want to keep that in mind as you're making small adjustments when it comes to swerving around potential obstacles and all those types of things. You just got to be a little more focused. You got to be committed when it comes to the steering of this Frontier. So here's where the rubber meets the road. Well, actually, that's the opposite. Here's where the rubber meets the off-road on this test. So we're on a kind of a carriage road here, or a cottage road, and it's on the bumpier side. This isn't like super hardcore off-roading, but this is where we talked about how the hydraulic steering takes a little bit of getting used to on the highway. But as you get on an off-road like this, that's where you can start to see kind of where the benefits are of it, because you just get a little more control, a little more feel through what's going on. And while that's nice to have on the highway, when you're off-road, it's really nice to kind of know what your wheels are doing underneath you. Here we go, it's getting a little more aggressive now. And here's where we're also going to be able to test how that those body mounts, those hydraulic body mounts, help me in an off-road situation as well. So hopefully, I hope to not find myself, and so far I don't, jerking all over the cabin as I drive through here. And so far, it's been actually quite good. You got these big bumps that you can tell they're large bumps. You can kind of hear them. You can sort of feel them through the wheel, but I don't necessarily feel like my body is being thrown to and fro. That's pretty impressive, actually. A lot of the times when you go through stuff like this, you really got to kind of hold on to the wheel for dear life, but less so here. So it's no smoke and mirrors situation with this Frontier. They have taken the body control seriously on this vehicle, and you can tell in a number of situations, as we've seen, whether it's low speeds in town or higher speeds on the highway or lower speeds here off-road, those hydraulic body mounts really do help make for just a much more comfortable drive as we kind of make our way through this, a little bit rougher through there, but through this off-road area here. Very nice, very nice. Should have no trouble going to the, you know, the backcountry hiking trail on forestry roads in this vehicle, that's for sure. Woo. There we go. In addition to all the chassis and powertrain kind of, you know, mods they do or tuning they do for off-roading, in here they've done some stuff as well. You get a forward-facing camera actually that operates, no, it doesn't operate past 10 kilometers an hour, but it looks forward and down so you can kind of see what's coming underneath you as well. So, you know, let's have a little bit of peace of mind when you're driving over rocks and stuff like I'm doing right now. It takes a little bit getting used to look down there at the camera as you're driving, but once you do, it becomes quite natural, actually. Ooh, very rocky through here. So this is where, look at it go, just climbing over all this stuff. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I really do get the feeling I'm not even coming anywhere close to what this Frontier is capable of. Even with all these rocks and kind of ruts and roots on the ground here, this thing can handle a lot more than that, I'm sure of it. I want to talk a little bit more about that steering for a minute. Why hydraulic? Why make something that's heavier around town? You can't use one finger to turn the wheel around and stuff like that. Why would you want that? And indeed, most people don't. Most manufacturers out there don't do hydraulic power steering at all anymore. I honestly can't name a single one. Maybe the Mazda MX-5 might. I really don't know. You know, viewers tell me if I'm wrong, but as far as new cars go, 911s aren't hydraulic anymore, Mustangs, all that kind of stuff. So why do it with this Frontier? Well, for one, me personally, I don't think I agree with one of my colleagues who said, I don't think I want a computer telling me what my steering inputs are. When you have an e-pass system, that's what's happening. It is what is, you put your input through the wheel and there is a mechanical connection, but the e-pass is telling you how much weight it's going to give you or how much resistance it's going to give you and so on. I don't know if I want that. I like to have it like this, control. And I've got the better feel off-road, as we talked about. And people who are used to driving trucks like an old Frontier, for example, which had a hydraulic system, this is probably how they'd want to go. This is how they're going to prefer it. And so it seems that's what Nissan is doing, is they're hedging their bets, saying that's kind of what it's all about. The big one's off-road though. I mean, with a hydraulic system, it's really good at metering out those bumps, stuff like that. And then the e-pass doesn't do quite as well. So, it's an interesting tack by them here. I was very surprised to find out they were doing that with this vehicle, but they are, and there you have it. So I guess hydraulics, power steering, FTW, right? So lots to like about the Nissan Frontier. It's got a good motor. The transmission is pretty good. Some might say it's a bit laggy. I don't find it to be too bad. Obviously the ride is great. The off-road chops are on point with this vehicle. It's quiet enough. There's a few bugaboos. The steering wheel just tilts. It doesn't telescope. So no lumbar adjustment coupled with no telescoping steering wheel. It's kind of a tough combo. I think some people are going to take a little bit of issue with that. But other than that, though, this is a really well put together package. It's in a competitive segment, one that seems to be growing and growing and growing these days. And so, Nissan has put their flag down. They've given us a great off-roader that looks cool. It looks so cool too. I mean, it really is a great mix of the old hard-body Nissans, those square trucks, with something a little newer. Great mix, really, really cool. It's kind of like retro without obviously looking retro at the same time. They've achieved an interesting balance there. That's all. So it does all those things well. This is Nissan's. They're putting their best foot forward for developing a vehicle in this segment, and it's definitely a great move by them. They've done well with this product. They have done well. Thanks for tuning into this first drive of the 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. You can follow me on Twitter at Dan the Wheelman and on Instagram at Dan the Wheelman as well. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. If not, no hard feelings, of course. And thanks again for tuning in here. And until next time, sayonara, folks.